19 and 17 at Stanford. He, of course, coached at Northwestern before. He has a record of 24 and 62 as a head coach. He has coached in the NFL as well as an assistant with Bill Walsh in the 49ers. Very dangerous duo of Glenn Milburn and Ozzie Granardo. Granardo leads the Pac-10 in kick returning at 27.4 yards a return, and Milburn is a threat to break one anytime he gets his hands on the football. He's averaging 22 yards a kick. But with this wind, I would imagine they might not get a chance to return anything with Hansen kicking in this direction.
I would bet heavily that Jason's going to be able to knock this thing out of here. He's had to remount the ball twice on the tee. Ozzie Granardo is a great one. He looks like he should be out there in the manager's uniform as opposed to a football uniform. But it'll be interesting to see if he gets a chance to return one, because must be quick.
He's got some good speed, that's for sure. Hansen set to boot it away. We are ready to go. The final home game for Washington State in 1991. And this is a high, deep kick that will be caught by Butch. And he won't try to return it. He's smarter than that. Stanford will come out offensively for their first series at their own 20. Steve Stenstrom making his 6th start. 11 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions. He is the top-ranked passer efficiency-wise in the Pac-10. Glenn Milburn, Tommy Vardell in the backfield. Walsh and Pinckney have been doing a great job catching passes on the outside. Turner Bauer is the tight end. A huge offensive line we'll show you after the first play. Vardell is the fullback, Milburn the deep back. A throw on first down, and it is caught by Walsh, and the Cougars defended pretty well. It'll be about a 4-yard gain. Michael Wright on the coverage. The offensive line is huge. It's anchored by Bob Whitfield, the 6'7", 300-pound true junior out of Carson. Glenn Kavanaugh is out of Spokane, the center, 6'7", 295. They average 300 pounds.
There's the defensive line that has their work cut out for them. Tillman, Frank, Westerfield, and Ray Hall. They've got to get in there and get to Vardell.
Vardell is the lone back. He has the ball. Ray Hall got a hand on him, but there you see the power of Vardell as he pushes his way all the way out. They will spot him at the 32. A gain of 7. A first down coming up for Stanford. Lurcher, McClanahan, and Bush, the linebackers. Lurcher still feeling the effects of the flu. He's got a very bad sore throat now. Hunter, Wright, Mobley, and rushing in the defensive backfield. Anthony Pryor suffered a hip pointer last week. That's why Mobley is starting. Pryor will play in this contest. First and 10, Stanford at their own 32. Our first look at Glenn Milburn as he tries to cut it outside. The Cougars string it out. Gain of about a yard. Michael Wright came up with some support. Anthony McClanahan was there as well.
Stanford into thinking maybe throw the ball here. Very important on first down plays to make something happen on defense.
2nd and 9, and Stenstrom, play action. Has plenty of time and guns it to a wide open Walsh, who was given too much of a cushion by Torrey Hunter, who makes the stop in Cougar territory near the 45.
Walsh wears that number 80, and he puts a Steve Largent-like move on Torrey Hunter. He fakes him, looks back at the quarterback like the ball's going to be thrown long, then stops, turns on a dime, and makes a nice catch there to pick up the first down. Excellent route by Walsh, who's their possession-type receiver, and he's a senior, and he's a real good one.
He has 55 catches this year now, ranks him up near the top of the Pac-10. He goes in motion on first down. Milburn. Same play to that left side. They block it a little better this time. Rushing comes up, makes the hit at about the 41. Milburn has been a bit of a disappointment for Stanford this year. He was a preseason All-American, led the NCAA in all-purpose yardage a year ago, had 379 yards in that game against Cal. That's on kick returns, receptions, and rushing. You see he's picked up 495 yards on the ground, 391 through the air this year, but that is down from what Stanford expected. 2nd and 6. Vardell, Lurcher, run out of bounds finally. You see how tough it is to bring Tommy Vardell down, and I imagine, Cleet, it's that much tougher on a cold day like today.
The thing you got to do with Vardell is get to him like Lurcher did there when he's going sideways, because once he gets the line of scrimmage and pops through that initial line of scrimmage, he's extra tough to take down. Lurcher does a good job beating him to the spot where the break was, where he was going to turn that ball up and taking him down for really no gain on that. Brings up a first third down we have this afternoon.
Pinckney and Walsh, the wide receivers. Walsh lined up in a slot. You see number 80 in motion. Good pressure on Stenstrom, and he goes down. Kurt Lurcher with his 5th sack of the season. He leads the Cougars, and that was a big play.
Real good coverage also. Here comes Lurcher, Bush. All the linebackers are coming. Stenstrom really has no time to get set. Lurcher's unblocked, and he sacks Stenstrom for really a pretty big loss, taking him out of any chance of trying a field goal at all, and they'll have to punt. So a nice job by the defense on that 3rd and 5.
Paul Stonehouse out of Pasadena, Loyola High School, to boot it away. A kick that is really hung up by the wind, and the Cougars better watch out. It was touched by Washington State. I think they're going to call it touched by Stanford illegally. That's why the flag was thrown. I don't know if he meant to throw the flag or the beanbag
no,
at the 14.
He's throwing the flag because Philip Bobo was interfered with. He was tackled before he could get to that ball, and so I think they're going to call interference against Stanford. We'll have to check the call, but Philip Bobo, you see, gets drilled here before he has the ability to get to the ball. And I'm hoping that's what the call is, and I think that's what the official saw also.
Interference against the kicking team. 15 yards, first down.
I don't know if you call that a break for Washington State, but I'm glad the official was there to call that one. It was pretty obvious, at least from up here, that Bobo was trying to get to the ball and was interfered before he could get to it. So Washington State will have a couple yards on the penalty here as we see the lineup for Washington State.
Paul Carr, the senior, getting the start at running back. Philip Bobo. Albert Kennedy starting in place of C.J. Davis. Had his first catch as a Cougar last week. Makes his first start this week. In the backfield for the Cougars on first down. They have 5 wide receivers. And Stanford looking around defensively. They already have the nickel back in. Ron Riddell, who wears number 10. Also in the secondary, Von Bryant and Darian Gordon are the corners. Sayon Albert, Albert Richardson are the safeties, and they are the strength of the secondary. And here comes Stanford showing blitz with nobody in the backfield. Butch Williams moves back into a blocking position. They pick up the blitz. Bobo makes a great catch at the 30-yard line. It'll be near a first down, and had he been able to break out of the grasp of Sayon Albert, he would have been going a long way.
Well, the cold weather doesn't affect Phillips' hands as he reaches down here, and you'll see him grab this with his right hand, just really one hand. And Sayon Albert is there to haul him down, like you said, but otherwise he'd still be scampering. So a good opening play for the Cougars. 2nd and short.
Same formation. Quick toss out to Calvin Schexnayder, who makes the catch, has the first down, and finally goes down. Again, Sayon Albert on the coverage.
Well, the Cougars have caught Stanford a little bit unaware here as you see the secondary of Gordon, Bryant, Richardson, and Albert here with the running back situation and the problems it's having.
Still 5 wide receivers, no running back. Bledsoe has time, gets rid of it. Dropped by the freshman Albert Kennedy. 2nd and 10 from their own 37 for Washington State. We've played a little over 4 minutes, no score after Stanford had to punt it away on their first possession. Handoff to Butch Williams. We've been waiting for this for a long time, and so is he. And he picks up about 8. They're going to mark him down 9 yards for the first down, and Williams gets into it with another guy named Williams, Tom Williams, the inside linebacker for Stanford.
Very creative offense. I've been waiting for this all year to see Butch run from the running back position. He goes in motion, takes the handoff, and rumbles up for about 9 yards. Interesting offense we've got going here, kind of like something you'd make up in the backyard.
Now wholesale changes as Chambé Wright Fair comes in. A host of wide receivers go out. Cougars have 2 tight ends. In fact, 3 now, as Chad Cushing and Brett Carolyn are all there. Paul Carr and Chambé Wright Fair in the backfield. Wright Fair is hit, and I don't think he got the first down.
I don't think he did either. He's about half a yard short.
Now comes an interesting play call as Drew Bledsoe looks over for the spot. It is shy of a first down, and the Cougars are going to go for it.
Boy, they really picked up nothing at all there. Paul Carr leading the way, and Chambé really didn't do a very good job of following him, but there was absolutely nothing there. 2 plays to pick up 2 yards. That's what they need.
And they're down to that 1 play now. First downs, the Cougars 9 out of 15 on 4th down conversions so far this year. They'll try to hand it off, and this time they get the first down. It was Rodney Scott, man, against Von Bryant on the outside. Let's see if Bledsoe tries to work to him. Schexnayder actually fell down, and the pass goes over his head. And that one, you might say Bledsoe overthrew him, but actually I think Schexnayder was forced to run his route underneath because he slipped coming off the line.
Well, everybody was slipping there, including Calvin and Drew Bledsoe as he came out from underneath the center, but I think if there was a bright point of that play, Stanford came with about 7 men on the rush, and Washington State was able to pick it up. So our first G-men queue was handled pretty well by the offensive line, and also Butch coming in and blocking from his motion position.
Stanford with those 6 on the line of scrimmage now. Bledsoe with the quick drop. Has Scheck-Snyder, and he dropped the ball. Giving up just 234 yards a game and only 12 points. Cougars need 10 on 3rd down. Time for Bledsoe. Scheck-Snyder with the catch and a spin move to get the first down. So after the drop, Bledsoe goes right back to Scheck-Snyder out of Fresno, and he makes the catch for the first down.
Good job again by the offensive line. Stanford only sends about 5. Drew sits back in the pocket. And Calvin does a good job making up for the drop ball before by stretching out and getting the first down. So the drive stays alive on 2 big 4th and 3rd down plays.
10th play of this drive coming up. Still no running back for Washington State.
Here comes the blitz.
And Bledsoe sees it.
They've got 10 guys on the line of scrimmage looking across here.
Here comes Butch in to help out a little bit. Quick drop. Bledsoe overthrows Albert Kennedy. Had man-to-man coverage from Darian Gordon. Could Stanford, with this 5 wide receiver look, drop back and play a zone, or is it tough to play a zone against that many wideouts?
It really is tough to play a zone against that type of spread offense. You almost just want to lock up and say, okay, I've got him, and the rest of the guys are trying to get to Bledsoe. One of the things that the Cougars might try to do is a little trapping inside and spring Bledsoe on a quarterback draw.
2nd and 10 from the 39 of Stanford. Washington State facing what appears to be another Stanford blitz. And there's that inside handoff to Butch Williams, as Stanford was a little more ready for it this time. Jason Fisk out of Davis, California, got a hand in on it. And now we got a little pushing and shoving going on as Ron George has a little something to say. 3rd and 9 from the 38. Cougars converted 3rd and 10 just a moment ago. Bledsoe has time. And Darren Pointer can't hang on to the football. The fans wanted the penalty, and so did Mike Price and Mike Zimmer. They thought that Ron Riddell clotheslined Darren Pointer. They weren't arguing for interference. They're arguing for the way this hit was made.
Well, here's the throw, and it is a little high, but Darren's got to go up and get that ball. It hit him right in the face mask, but you can see the thing that Darren was complaining about is came over the top and grabbed that face mask, turned him around. That was really maybe not instrumental in the play.
Big win behind Jason Hansen, who will try a field goal. This will be a 56-yard attempt. It is from virtually straight away. Paul Reed, the snapper, Boone Borden, the holder, and it was partially blocked again. Hansen talked about with Paul Reed snapping, Reed gets the ball back to the holder, Boone Borden, but he doesn't get it back as quickly as Quinn Magnus.
Great field position for Stanford after the offense for Washington State did a pretty good job moving the ball down the field.
Play action, Stenstrom, time to throw, and guns it out. Walsh wide open again, this time against Michael Wright. Singor Mobley coming very close to getting a flag for a late hit. Cougars are just giving Walsh too much cushion.
Well, he's an excellent route runner, and the first problem is that Stenstrom has all this time back here. You can see nobody in the picture to even threaten him, make him throw the ball off a little bit. And Walsh does a good job again, this time running Michael Wright off and then coming back to the ball. Good play call there on first down with the play action. Now we can look for Vardell up the middle.
Gain of 18 on that play. Line of scrimmage is the Cougar 43. J.J. Lasley is lined up along with Vardell in the backfield. So Stanford with their bigger backfield, and Vardell lost his balance before he got the football and lost it in a big way thanks to Anthony McClanahan. And about 10 and a half, you want to call it, on the 43, inside of 7 minutes to play in the first quarter between Stanford and Washington State. Stenstrom short drop, and he hits Walsh again, and closing in a hurry to make the tackle was Torrey Hunter. Gain of about 5 on that play.
This play's covered pretty well. Stenstrom's just going to take his 3 steps and lay the ball out there. Good tackle by Torrey Hunter. Picture perfect. Square shoulders and takes him right to the turf.
Walsh 4 catches for 51 yards already. 3rd and 5 for Stanford, and the Cougar crowd comes to life, and Steve Stenstrom wants to talk it over. He uses Stanford's first time. Following the timeout, 3rd and 5 for Stanford. Noburn and Vardell in the backfield, and Stenstrom has to audibilize after a timeout. And as a coach, you probably have to hate that. He's going to have to hurry to get the snap off. Gets it out to Milburn. And he is finally wrapped up by Singor Mobley, and they take out a photographer on the sideline as well.
With all the confusion, I was hoping that something would go wrong here for Stanford's offense, but nothing goes wrong here in this flood route out to Glenn Milburn, who's got Lurcher all alone, and that's a mismatch. Singor Mobley has to come over and make that tackle, but that was a big third down play for Stanford when it looked like Washington State had kind of faked them out of whatever play they wanted to get into, and finally Vardell came up to the sophomore and told him what play to run. It looked like that's what happened.
Vardell gets the ball and gets a couple of yards over to the left side. So far, Washington State has done a pretty good job of defense against Vardell, the senior out of El Cajon. Touchdown, Tommy. 15 touchdowns this year, his school rushing record.
Well, running behind that big offensive line, there's Dahlman, the guard, not really moving Frank off the ball there, and Frank's able to submarine underneath there and get to Vardell's legs, which is about the only place you can tackle that big monster.
2nd and 7 for the Cardinal. Vardell has some running room to the left side, and he bowls over a couple of Cougar defenders. John Rushing was there trying to make the hit. Also Singor Mobley, but it's a first down for Stanford.
Just real good feet by the big fullback. You see him take the ball. The hole is actually plugged up in the middle. He makes a good cut to the left, and McClanahan can't quite get there. Picks up a bit of first down, and Stanford now is threatening.
Ball resting just outside the 11. Stanford has been outstanding in the red zone during this winning streak. Stenstrom to Vardell. And he is able to get down to about the 8-yard line, the lone setback. Walsh and Pinckney, the receivers. Lastly, is fumbles the football. McClanahan still on his feet, but they have whistled it down at the 12-yard line.
There's a big play for Washington State's defense. That's the kind of thing that they were hoping for. Excellent effort by the outside linebackers to get to Lasley before he could get upfield. Here you see the handoff. Vardell gets injured, and there's Ray Hall, I believe, that gets the first contact. Mobley misses, but then Michael Wright, the senior, comes out and puts the helmet right on the ball, and there's McClanahan. He was ready to run that in. He was still on his feet, but the officials had blown it dead. Big break for Washington State on that side.
One of the fun things about that play was watching quarterback Steve Stenstrom try to tackle McClanahan. Paul Carr is in the backfield as the Cougars have 3 wide receivers, and Carr will try the first true running play by Washington State, and he'll pick up about 4 yards on the play. Carr, the senior, out of Bellevue, getting an opportunity to start in his final home game as a Cougar. That has to be quite a thrill for him.
Absolutely, a guy who's done everything you could ask for him as far as playing on the special teams and doing that piece that is a role type of position for him, but here he gets to come in and carry the ball. Hopefully have a big day against Stanford.
Carr is lined up in a slot and now shifts and actually stays in the slot position on the other side. There goes Albert Kennedy in motion. Cougars throwing a lot of motion and a lot of sets at Stanford. Deep drop and wide open is Paul Carr. And he's just going to try to run outside away from Darian Gordon, and he gets the first down. Fair in the lineup now, and he's back at running back. And he'll try the left side. Esteban Avila somehow managed to get a hand on him. I think maybe Jason Fisk, number 72, was able to trip up Chambe as well.
Looks like Butch has a pretty good block here on Avila. He's just able to get free and maybe even tripped over Butch's foot there. Looked like a little seam there, though, and Washington State can come back to that.
Robbie Tobeck, who is starting in place of Conrad Pimiskern, asked to leave. He injured a knee in practice last Wednesday, and he was doubtful for today. He gets the start, and now he goes down. Let's see if Pimiskern has come in. He has. The 6'5 junior out of West Vancouver. He's been struggling with the flu this week. Bledsoe with some time, throwing long. Darren Pointer makes the catch and is run out of bounds by Ron Riddell. That's a heck of a catch by Darren Pointer. He almost fell down as the ball was on the way to him, but he managed to recover his balance and recover the ball.
Well, first of all, we got good pass protection. You see no one's around Drew, and he's able to step up and float that baby out there. And like you said, Darren does a good job of regaining the football after he kind of slipped and his head was down. Did a good job of spinning around, finding the ball, and catching it and getting upfield. So Cougars on the move again. The offense seems to be on track. A couple drop balls, but other than that, they've been able to move the ball at will.
Ball lined up on the 48. Chambe right fair trying to get himself lined up. He'll get the football and try to take it up the middle and gets into Stanford territory to about the 48-yard line. Nice sophomore year.
Here comes the blitz.
And he gets rid of it to Butch Williams, who makes the catch, breaks a tackle, and gets the first down.
Got a late hit, I believe, also on Drew Bledsoe, who's a little bit shaken up.
Is shaken up as Darian Gordon delivered the blow. Looked for a while like Bledsoe wouldn't get up, but now he does.
Nice catch there by Butch. Had Sean Albert all over him. So they'll tack this one on top of the gain, and like I said, it's good to see Butch making those catches. He's had a little bit of trouble, but it's come through here in this game today.
Big roughing penalty moves the ball all the way to the 22. Cougars with a first down at the Stanford 22-yard line.
Well, the Cougars have been able to move the ball, like I was saying, and will be interesting to see now they get down here in threatening position, whether or not they can put this one in. Have had a pretty good success here lately, being able to punch these in.
2:20 to play in the first quarter. 1st and 10 for the Cougars from the 22 of Stanford. Bledsoe time into the end zone, into double coverage. Only guy who had a chance to catch that was Ron Riddell. It's a play. Stanford showing a little blitz now. Let's see if they come. Here they come. Bledsoe wide open. Touchdown, Washington State. Calvin Schexnayder.
I couldn't believe it when I saw it. They were Richardson, the strong safety, was really intent on finding out what Butch Williams was going to do, and here's a guy standing out there all by himself, and so the 5 wide receiver package creates some havoc with Stanford's defense, and Schexnayder says, I'll take that easy one and get my name on face on the TV screen.
For Calvin, his 2nd touchdown catch of the year. Drew Bledsoe's 14th touchdown pass. Hansen to attempt the extra point. And that one was low, and he did get it through as he almost pulled it to the left. But Jason Hansen struggling a bit with Paul Reed as the snapper in place of Quinn Magnuson.
That's right.
Hansen to boot it away. Granardo and Milburn deep, but if Jason hits this one anywhere near like he hit the last one, they won't do anything but catch it and sit down with it. Granardo will catch it about 8 yards deep and set it down. Stenstrom to throw on first down over the middle, and he missed his tight end, Turner Bauer. Back split behind Stenstrom. He will give it to Vardell up the middle, and Vardell pushes his way forward after the initial contact. Gain of about 4 on that play. You think of Stanford, you think of quarterbacks. All the quarterbacks who've gone on to the NFL, Jim Plunkett, John Elway, John Brody, Frankie Albert, the whole gang. Coming in, a young guy like Stenstrom, is there extra pressure as a Stanford quarterback, or does it make you better because of that whole aura?
Well, I think that the extra pressure is somewhat relieved by the players that you have around you, and it sure makes it easy if you can give it to Milburn or Vardell in the background, but here, 3rd and 5, there's plenty of pressure.
Cougars come with the blitz. He gets it out to Walsh, who makes the catch and gets the first down against Michael Wright at the 36-yard line. First down at the 36. Carpenter with the snap to Stenstrom. And he gets it out to Pinckney, who makes the catch, and Michael Wright on the tackle, but it's good enough for another Stanford first down. The whistle had blown before the football came loose. With a minute to play in the first quarter for Stanford. Walsh going in motion. Milburn, left side. Vardell blocking. John Rushing, the hit, right at the midfield stripe.
John Rushing, again, doing an excellent job from his free safety position against the run. I don't think I've seen a free safety play the run as well as he does in quite some time. And he just has an innate ability to take the perfect angle and make sure that that player goes down, and Milburn went down awful fast there. Rushing can get up and taunt him a little bit.
Has the makings of a shootout with the way these teams have been able to move up and down the field, although the Cougars have the only points at 7-0.
Here comes the blitz, and Stanstrom is checking out of it.
This will be the final play of the first quarter. No receivers. Here's the tight end Turner Bauer, and Lurcher with the tackle. The spot should give Stanford a first down. St. Louis, just his 4th catch of the year. Tommy Vardell on first down. Nothing doing there, and again, as you alluded to, Clayton, Cougars got him going sideways instead of upfield.
Yeah, again, pretty good job by the defensive line there to neutralize the big offensive lineman for the Cardinal.
Big gain, and he is shoestring tackled by Singor Mobley, but another Stanford first down.
Boy, he hit that hole quick. Just comes up here, and Lurcher looks like he's being held a little bit out there, and it's up to Singor Mobley to haul down that big guy. Singor's not stupid. He's going straight for that ankle. Excellent decision there. Washington State's got to stiffen up here a little bit on defense. They're allowing a few too many yards on first down.
Vardell just shy of that 40-yard mark this afternoon. Keep in mind, Stanford has the wind at their back now. Glenn Milburn with some running room to the right side. Well, he's shifty, but Michael Wright and John Rushing able to force him to come back, and they made the tackle. But you could see the quickness as he made a couple of moves to the outside. 5, Vardell up the middle. He was hit by McClanahan, but still managed to fall forward for a gain of about 3 yards.
Boy, I'd really like to see him limp off again. It's been the best play that happened for Washington State here this half is when Vardell walked off, Lasley came in a little cold and fumbled the ball, and Lasley's going to come on, but Vardell will stay out there. Short yardage situation, 3rd and 1.
You can't hope someone gets hurt. Come on,
I sure can.
3rd and 1 from the 23. We'll disregard that last comment. Lasley, the bigger guy, is in at the fullback with Vardell deep, the even bigger guy to take the football and dive over the top, and the Cougars seem to think they have stopped Vardell's shot. 10 first downs in this contest, and they're at the 22. Cougars show blitz. Stenstrom hands it off to Milburn. He's got a little running room, breaks one tackle. Michael Wright gets him at the 18. So again, Stanford in that red zone where they have been so successful, but last time they were unable to convert after J.J. Lasley coughed up the football. On the ground, the latter part of this 11-play drive for Stanford after a couple of early passes. 2nd and 6, Stenstrom to throw. Now he's going to have to run it. And he got to the 14, and boy, was he popped.
This carry
with Lasley leading the way. There's the pitch to Vardell. He gets a good block from Lasley and gets the first down at the 10. Lasley did his job. That's the reason he was in there. And he threw a nice block to help Vardell to the first down.
Well, the whole left side does a good job. Cassidy again pulling to lead the play. Torrey Hunter is taking on the big fullback, Lasley leading the way, but he's no match there, and Vardell has plenty to pick up that first down. The question is now, is it 1st and 10 or 1st and goal?
Well, it's 1st and goal. It's just inside the 10. Stanford picking up the rushing yardage on this drive. They need to get about 9 3/4 more to get it in the end zone. They'll try to throw on first down. Stenstrom has Milburn wide open. Race to the corner. Touchdown, Stanford. Boy, Turner Bauer came very, very close to negating that touchdown on a block he threw on Kurt Lurcher at the 1.
Lead him on out with a nice pass, and Stenstrom did it just like that. Stanford's right back in this ball game.
Let's see if Aaron Mills is thought out enough to convert. He does. He is perfect this year, 29 for 29. We are tied at 7 with 10:53 left to play in the first half. 22. Cougars are 10th nationally in kick returns, and Anthony Pryor's return for a touchdown against USC is the only kickoff return for a touchdown in the Pac-10 this year. Mills to boot it away, and he's got that wind behind him, and Pointer will catch it and set it down. Cougars will start on the 20. Talked about Aaron Mills making that extra point, capping off that drive by Stanford. Most high school kickers have some problems with extra points. Maybe not so much because they can't kick them themselves, but usually they have problems with snaps and spots and whatnot at the high school level. In high school, Mills was 24 for 24. So he's not missed an extra point in his career. That's a pretty nice record.
Well, I'd like him to just stick with his stats he's got so far, 1 for 1, and not see him again today.
Paul Carr shifts into a running back spot now as the Cougars have 4 wide receivers. And Carr will try it up the middle, and a second effort nets him a couple of yards. Stanford's interior defense, led by Jason Fist and Tyler Batson, had slowed him down a little bit. Also in there, Tyrone Parker, big junior out of Brooklyn, New York.
Well, that's a situation that we saw last week with the trips wide, with Butch split out wide, and what the idea there is try to get a unbalance of offensive linemen versus defensive linemen in there and run the ball if you've got the odds. There they had the odds and just picked up a couple.
2nd and 8 from the 22. Bledsoe, the quick drop, and apparently Philip Bobo never caught what Drew Bledsoe wanted him to do. Bledsoe with time, the out to Bobo, he makes the catch for the first down. Shambe Wright Fair in the lineup now. He's lined up in that slot position. See if he shifts to the backfield or not. Yes, he will now. Bledsoe throws it up the sideline, and he overthrew Bobo. It is the 33, 10:07 left to play in the first half. Game tied at 7. Bledsoe has time. Now he's chased and caught and brought down. Esteban Avila, the senior out of Sebastopol, California, and gets the sack, but really credit that one to the coverage.
Excellent coverage there by the secondary. They were just in a straight zone. Drew's looking for Kennedy, the young receiver, and he's really got the time. Bob Garman lets Avila go. It looked like Drew maybe could have stepped up in that pocket and run for something there, but Avila puts the good pressure on, beats Garman, and gets to the first sack for Stanford today.
3rd and 19 now. This is a tough one. Cougars converted one of these against Arizona. Bledsoe guns it in and out of the hands of Albert Kennedy.
Deep for Stanford, which is a little bit unusual. You don't see that much anymore.
No, you don't. Milburn and Granardo, the 2 kick returners, back as well. End over end kick, and it will take a big Cougar bounce. It was not a great Hansen effort, but it took a good bounce to begin with and then bounce back. So Hansen's kick will leave Stanford with good field position by Hansen. Stenstrom having a nice day, 9 for 10. Here comes number 11. He's going for it all. Michael Wright, the only guy who's got a chance to catch it, and he does. For Michael Wright, his 3rd interception in the last 2 games. And quite a hit by Ron Childs on the defensive backfield judge. He was going to celebrate, and he ran him over.
Well, they go with the play action, and he's been very successful so far this year getting the ball to Pinckney on this post route. But Michael Wright is in perfect position there. Makes the play and an interception and another turnover for the defense. So that's one way to get your defense off the field.
It's a good punt, if you look at it that way for Stanford. Cougars pinned back on their own 8, and they have nobody in the backfield. Bledsoe rushed. He's going to be brought down. They'll call it at the 1. He fumbled the football. Touchdown, Stanford. The Cougars give it right back, and they give 6 points to the Cardinal. Bledsoe was hit at the 1 and coughed up the football, and we'll see who recovered it for Stanford.
Sayon Albert comes from his safety position, and that's the kind of thing they did to him last year, and the ball pops loose. And it looked like
it was Sayon Albert who made the hit and recovered
Fisk
it.
was the one that recovered it. I'm not sure there. But just really a disheartening job by Drew Bledsoe, not able to get that ball off it. Excellent call by the defensive coordinator for Stanford as he put pressure immediately on that first down play. Stanford gets the luck of the roll that time as the turnover goes right back to him, only this time it's got 6 points attached to it.
Now each team has scored a touchdown off of a turnover. Cougars scoring after the J.J. Lasley fumble and moving the ball down the field offensively. Stanford with the fumble recovery for the touchdown. The extra point by Mills is good. I said the interception by Michael Wright actually worked out to be a pretty good punt for Stanford, and it turned out to be a whole lot more than that. Mills running along to have a chat with the guys on the coverage team for Stanford. One of the concerns coming into this game was, would Stanford be down a bit emotionally following the big win over UCLA and the big game coming up against Cal next week? They might have started out a little flat, but they have certainly caught some momentum. The wind will take that kick deep, and the Cougars will start from their 20 again,
at least threatening the run. There's
the quick pass, and wide open and running is Brett Carolyn. Brett Carolyn excited about his second catch of the year, and Stanford caught sleeping a little bit that time, and what a big catch for Brett Carolyn, who is from Nevada, which is just a little north of Stanford.
Boy, that's a really tough catch to catch that off your right shoulder pad, and then he shows pretty good speed there. If he gets one block, could have been gone, but that's an excellent response to Drew Bledsoe's fumble for the touchdown for the Cardinal, and Washington State comes back and puts a little excitement back into the crowd anyway. Let's see if they can finish it off.
32-yard gain from Bledsoe to Brett Carolyn. Butch Williams back now as the tight end. Sean Bay right fair moves into the backfield. Sean Bay will try it on the ground and fumbles the football. Stanford there to cover it. The Cardinal have it at midfield. Second turnover by Washington State.
Well, you just can't expect to win these football games against quality packed-in foes if you're going to put the ball on the ground consecutive series, and no one around that but white shirts.
There's a flag in the offensive backfield.
I'm sure that's going to be a hold on Washington State from where that's positioned.
Conduct against the recovering team, 15 yards, 1st and 25.
Okay, it's not against Washington State where those flags were thrown. I thought that maybe they would have got the pulling guard on the hold, but Denny Green's over there trying to argue his case. I don't know if that was a celebration penalty or what. Didn't see anything outrageous going on, so we'll have to assume that someone was taunting or talking.
Turnovers are even at 2. Stanford has 2, Washington State has 2. Cougars have fumbled it twice. Stanford has fumbled it once and given up the interception. Ball would have been at midfield. They will march it back. So Stenstrom and the Cardinal will start a little further back than what you would anticipate, and because it is a dead ball foul, it becomes after the possession, so it'll be 1st and 25, and that changes the play call a bit.
Well, Stenstrom has a lot of options here. He's got 4 or 5 guys on the perimeter: Vardell, Milburn, Walsh, Pickney, and I believe Bauer is in there, the tight end, so he's got a lot of guys to throw to here. I think what you try to do is just pick up 10 of it on 1st down.
Tell you what would be a scary play for the Cougar defense here. It'd be a draw to Milburn. Let's see if they try that. Play action pass. He wants the tight end, but he's covered. He guns it to Walsh, who makes the catch, and he's tackled by Michael Wright. They get about 13 of it back on that 1st down play.
Michael Wright looks like he's down.
5, now they're on the Cougar 29 with a 1st down. And now they're down to the 25-yard line as Vardell works his way down.
Vardell really does an excellent job of running behind his helmet and his pads. He doesn't give you much to tackle. And even on that play where there really wasn't much, he's able to drive behind those legs and make the initial contact, and then has that innate ability to explode forward. He's a good-looking back, and he's bound for the NFL, I'm sure, just like Brad Muster before him.
Stenstrom will use the timeout. Looked over the Cougar defense, didn't like what he saw. 2nd and 6 from the 25. Stanford will talk it over. Now I want to go back to what you just said. He runs behind. Now we're set for that 2nd and 6 play for Stanford. Vardell and Lasley in the backfield. Walsh and Pinkney, the wide receivers. Flag flying as the pass goes to Walsh. He makes the catch, and they'll call him out at about the half-yard line. A flag was thrown just beyond the line of scrimmage.
Well, the way that the Stanford guys are rolling down there, they don't think it's against them, and that was just an excellent throw and catch. Stenstrom stands tall and puts the ball right where it has to, and Walsh makes an excellent catch right down there in front of Burns, the freshman, and Stanford is, I'm sure, going to decline.
Well, it was a situation, Cleat, where we've seen before here in Martin Stadium where the flag came in from the stands.
Okay.
So it is not a flag. It is a gain of 24. Walsh's 7th catch for 98 yards, and they are on the half-yard line. Guess who's going to get the ball? Touchdown, Tommy Vardell over the top for the touchdown. And Stanford has now scored 20 unanswered points against Washington State and quieted the crowd in Martin Stadium.
Well, I think everybody in the stadium knew that this ball was going to number 44, and he's just going to launch his body over the top. Greg Burns is there to absorb him a little bit, but that's well after he's over for the touchdown. Another nice drive, especially when you consider they started out 1st and 25 and Washington State has not been able to stop them.
Mills set to attempt the extra point. And he puts it through very easily. Stanford, 21 unanswered points. A very impressive drive that started on their own 34. They gained 13, they gave 24, then 4, then 24, and then the 1-yard touchdown run by Tommy Vardell. And now the responsibility goes to the Cougar offense. They have to be able to respond and keep Washington State in this football game. This game very reminiscent of last year's lead. The Cougars last year jumped out to the 10-0 lead, and then Stanford scored 31 unanswered points.
Well, hopefully the offense can get back on track and hold on to the ball. That's been their only problem, dropping it.
Pryor fumbles it, recovers it, and will set it down. He was going to return it had he been able to come straight out, but he had it kick off his shoulder pad. Bledsoe, pump fake, has a little time. Well, now he'll run it. Get hit hard by Estevan Avila. Gain of about 2 on the play for Bledsoe, who was wrapped up. Stanford just 1:47 to go those 66 yards for the score.
The ball in there.
2nd and 7 from the 23. Tom Williams coming up to the line of scrimmage, fakes the blitz, pulls back. Over the middle, Butch Williams, the catch. Gets a block and gets out near the 40-yard line. And they will mark him, very generous spot, I believe, at the 41.
Again, Stanford electing now to sit back a little bit with this lead and not put any pressure on the quarterback, and that makes it very simple for Drew to find big Butch Williams coming across on just a little tight end delay route.
Cougs stay in that 5 wide receiver look. Now Paul Carr shifts to the backfield. 1st and 10 from their own 41-yard line. Stanford shows blitz, the handoff to Carr, and he's unable to break the tackle from Dave Garnett, who was coming in on the blitz. Had he been able to get past Garnett, there would have been a lot of running room for the senior out of Bellevue.
The secondary is playing.
There's that shift again. Butch Williams coming into the tight end alignment. Albert Kennedy in motion now. Bledsoe trying to get Paul Carr, intercepted. Darian Gordon, he's got one man to beat, that's Bledsoe. Touchdown, Stanford. Darian Gordon with the interception, his first of the year, and the junior out of Shawnee, Oklahoma, takes it into the end zone as he puts a move on Drew Bledsoe. That was a great catch by Gordon and a heads-up play to get moving in the right direction in a hurry.
Well, there's really no explanation for that except for a bad throw by Drew. Paul Carr did an excellent job coming up, just popping his guy that was rushing and then sifted out, and he was in good position, and actually Wolf had a pretty good play on Gordon.
Mills to attempt the extra point out of the hold of Smith, and he remains perfect. A moment ago you said you didn't want him to have another chance. He's had 3. Bang, bang, bang. 5:05 left to play in the first half, and it was a 7-0 Washington State lead that has become 28-7 Stanford.
Just sitting here stunned a little bit. It seemed like we had a pretty good football game, and then all of a sudden, a couple of freak plays, a fumble in the end zone that goes down, and then that play right there where just a bad throw by Drew, and Stanford is able to take advantage of those missed opportunities by WSU.
Pointer sets it down following the kick by Mills. Cougs will start at the 20-yard line again. Mike Price chatting with Drew Bledsoe. I guess there was some question as to whether Bledsoe would come back or not, because Bledsoe had his helmet off and was holding his jacket, and Mike Price sends him back out.
Well, there's a scoring drive for you. One play, elapsed time, not much. Darian Gordon with the 42-yard interception return for the touchdown. Well, Drew's got to shake it off, and I mean, there's been games against Stanford. I remember a couple years ago, I believe it was
1984.
84 with Ruben Mays and gang, and they were down big the first half and turned it on.
Estevan Avila was waiting for Paul Carr on the draw there. Nothing going at all for Washington State. 4:35 left to play in the first half. Shambe right fair in the backfield with Butch Williams as the tight end. As they shift, they have the trips left look. Bledsoe looking for somebody. Good coverage by Stanford, chased by Avila. And Tommy Williams hits him out of bounds at the 21. Cougars screaming for the penalty. And Bledsoe comes up hobbled.
Took one right to the shin there. I don't think it's anything more than a Charlie horse, but I guess the Cougar coaches are upset. Drew Bledsoe's telling him to get off to send Patson back in, but actually just a diving effort, pretty good effort by, I believe it's George here. Nope, Williams, and you can see where he hit Drew on the side of the leg, and Drew will go off.
Pattinson comes in. He's 7 out of 15 for 84 yards. He's thrown an interception. A 6'1", 197-pound sophomore out of Moscow, Idaho, inherits a 3rd and 9. And the Cougars keep it on the ground, and a lot of the fans won't like the play call, but that's actually a pretty good call, because if Pattinson's not completely warm, you don't want him throwing the ball in this situation.
Not much room to run there up the middle. George and gang, Avila underneath is able to stop that up. Washington State's forced to punt, and boy, this second quarter, the winds changed, and so did the fortunes of Washington State.
What's interesting, too, is that usually the second quarter has been a strong one this year for Washington State and not a good one for Stanford. So the two teams have reversed history. Hanson's punt, a good one into the wind. But this guy is dangerous, Glenn Milburn. Kevin Ashworth knocks him out of bounds. It will be a net 7-yard punt following the return by Glenn Milburn. And the Cougars can only hope, Clete, that the final 3:35 of this second quarter goes by quickly.
Jason Hampson rips one. Milburn drifts over to his left, and the lane is created. Milburn is able to outrun a number of people to the sideline. I think Kevin Ashworth is the next guy there or the last guy there to make that play. Otherwise, Milburn puts some more heartburn on the scoreboard. But Stenstrom's in, excellent field position again for the young quarterback for Stanford.
Milburn, a spin move, breaks some tackles and still won't go down. Finally, a gain between 9 and 10 yards, and Stanford with an opportunity to show a little killer instinct and put the Cougars away if they can score right here.
Dahlman, the big guard, caves it down on the inside, and Lewis Bush just falls for those quick moves of Milburn there, and you can expect that a couple times, that you're just not always going to get a clean shot on that young man right there. He's a shifty one, reminiscent of Darren Nelson, the type of runner that he is. Same type of back, all-purpose kind of guy.
Vardell is the lone setback. Maybe a little play action? Nope, they just say, let's get the first down, and he gets even more as he gets inside the 15. Singo or Mobley. Vardell and Milburn in the backfield behind Stenstrom. 3 wide receivers, no tight end for the Cardinal. Milburn, a huge hole. Touchdown, Stanford. Glenn Milburn, a 14-yard touchdown run. And it is going to take another one of those miracle comebacks if the Cougars are going to get back into this football game.
Well, there's no doubt about this one, as Milburn just uses his excellent speed to get quickly into the secondary. Singo or Mobley comes over to try to stop the touchdown, to no avail. Stanford's rolling right now with that big offensive line. There was absolutely no fight in the defense at all for Washington State on that drive.
Mills automatically puts it through. Stanford, 35 unanswered points, leading Washington State 35-7. The cheer from the crowd, you see Aaron Mills looking up to say, what are they cheering about? What's going on? His extra point went up into the stands, and instead of giving it to the security guards, he got a couple guys up in the stands. There you go, playing keep away, and the security guard goes, aha, it's my ball. I'm going to take it and go home. It's the end zone version of the NFL.
Well, that tells you what kind of day it's been when you've got keep away as the highlight of the first half so far for Washington State.
Milburn now with 43 yards on the ground, 25 receiving on a couple of catches, and 38 on the punt return. He is third in the Pac-10 this year in all-purpose rushing, all-purpose yardage. And he's having a good day so far, better than he did last year against Washington State. Mills to kick. He might be getting tired. It still reams this one about 7 yards deep, and Anthony Pryor can't catch it. 2:26 still to play in this first half. Quick pass out to Philip Bobo. He makes the catch, tries to beat Von Bryant, puts a nifty little move on him, and a great effort by Bobo to get out near the first down. He wouldn't give up.
Well, that's the kind of effort that you like to see, even down 35-7. Philip gets the hands down on the turf, maintains his balance.
Third catch of the afternoon for Philip Bobo. You saw 36, Tom Williams missed the tackle. Williams came up afterwards, pat him on the head, said, nice move.
Well, you can do that kind of thing when you're up 35-7. You can compliment him.
Bledsoe on 2nd and 1. It's going to be 3rd and long now, as he is sacked as Stanford got in with Esteban Avila, Ron George in there, the G-man from the outside.
Well, this is the kind of games that you can play. You'll see the twisting, stunning type of action as Avila comes around is with Rembas also, and the defensive linemen are just know exactly where that quarterback's going to be, and they're getting there as fast as they can, playing the twisting, stunning games up front.
Cougs 2 out of 7 on 3rd down conversions. They need one here. They got those 2 early, by the way. Butch Williams the catch, but he doesn't get the first down. He's brought down shy. And will Mike Price bring Jason Hansen on to kick, or will they go for it?
Might as well go for it. I mean,
don't have a whole lot to lose in this
nothing
situation.
to lose right now. Just a quick dump pass again to Butch. And fighting for that first down. Doesn't quite stretch the ball out as he sees Von Bryant coming up. Mike Price saying, hey, we've got nothing to lose. If they score another one, we'll...
AA team in the nation. 4th and 1. Cougars need to get the first down, first of all, to make any of that possible. Rodney Scott with the first down yardage and ends up picking up about 6 yards on the play. 41 seconds, the clock stopped while they moved the chains. The Cougars have 2 timeouts left.
Stanford may have been back on their haunches a little bit as they may have been expecting some type of play action. Rodney Scott is able to get it easily.
Bledsoe, the quick pass. Butch Williams with the catch. He needs to get out of bounds, and he doesn't. He tripped over the feet either of Darren Pointer or Darian Gordon. The clock stops while they move the sticks. Line of scrimmage, the 48 of Stanford, down to 25 seconds in the first half. Bledsoe, Williams again, this time he drops it. That will stop the clock. 19 seconds left. 4 tries from the 48. Bledsoe being pressured. Got a flag for a hold as Bledsoe guns it for Philip Bobo. It's incomplete. It wouldn't have mattered anyway. There's going to be a hold called on Washington State. Huge umbrella defense by Stanford. And here comes Aaron Rembas, still getting some pressure on Bledsoe. Will just run it out of bounds with 4 seconds left. So one more play to go, and this will be the one where it's just lofted up for grabs. And this has been a football game that the Cougars would like to have an opportunity to replay the second quarter. Cougars led it 7-0 after the first 15 minutes. It is 35-7 Stanford right now. Stanford has Albert Richardson and Ron Riddell, and now also Von Bryant, all the way back on the Cougar 35, on their own 35, and the Cougar line of scrimmage is the 40. The pass is caught by Calvin Schexnayder, and he is brought down, and that's the final play of the first half.
Obviously with a big lead and play more of a zone than risking the blitz and man-to-man coverage. It's always interesting to me when you come out for the second half and you've got a big lead, it's always fun to watch the backup quarterbacks warming up because they see blood out there and they're thinking they're going to be able to get started.
One thing that's interesting, Cleet, I just automatically assumed Stanford would take the football to start this second half, but they have elected to, they had the choice to start the second half, so they took the wind here in the third quarter, so the Cougars would be battling that wind right off the bat. And they will kick the football to Washington State. So an interesting move by Dennis Green in that he is going to give Washington State the football, but make them try to start their comeback at least against this winning yardage for the single season record. And he will throw on first down, and he's going to be throwing a lot. Darren Pointer makes the catch. Ron Riddell the tackle. Gain of about 14 on that play.
Well, that's a good start coming out. Good pass protection. Butch Williams comes down, does a good job on Garnett, the outside linebacker you see rushing there. Or not Bob, but Dave Garnett, and Darren Pointer comes across on his slant route. Pass protection gives enough time for that route to come open. It's a good first down pickup. No backs in the backfield again all day long. I think we'll see this now for the rest of the half.
Butch Williams stays in the block. Bledsoe has time. Philip Bobo makes the catch. He's out to midfield. Bledsoe now 16 for 27. For 240 yards this afternoon against Stanford.
Drew looks like he's okay from that shot he took to the leg, and he steps up, delivers that ball in between the linebackers there, and you can see that Stanford has in fact dropped back into his own defense. Drew just drove that ball between the little opening of the linebacker and the defender covering Bobo.
First down at the midfield stripe. Again, Williams goes in motion. The handoff to Butch, and he's got some running room. Tom Williams with a nice tackle to stop Butch from busting a big game this game so far. 2nd and 6 for the Cougars. Short drop by Bledsoe, and he's got all kinds of room to run.
What are you doing?
And he took the side out of bounds. He got the first down and went out of bounds.
Well, he's looking for the out of bounds a little early there. It looked like he had a lot more room to run if he goes straight toward the end zone. But he elects to get out of bounds and stop the clock. Maybe he knows something we don't about the rest of this half, but he wants all the time he can to get back in this one, maybe.
Pickup of 8 for Drew Bledsoe. First down for the Cougars on the Stanford 38. The sophomore quarterback out of Walla Walla trying to engineer something to get a little momentum back on Washington State side. They need a lot of momentum.
Alobia is in, and you might have a shot at him down the middle here.
Little reverse to Bobo. Stanford has it defended well. Phillip tried to get away from Dave Garnett, and he could not. The reverse has been a good tool for Washington State so far this year, but on that play it wasn't.
Well, in this play, we talked about it earlier, the aggressiveness of the two outside backers, George and Garnett. Garnett was just sitting out, staying home there, and didn't come down or do any type of stunt that would have trapped him inside, and he was in perfect position to stop that play.
2nd and 14, Bledsoe guns it, and it's incomplete. Was trying to get it out to Butch Williams. Albert Richardson came up to show blitz and now backs off. Williams stays in the block. Bledsoe to the end zone for Alobia, and he overthrew him. Fake. Hansen will just try to kick it up and let that wind hold it up. And he might have hit it too well. Looks like it's going to carry into the end zone, and it does by about 9 yards. And Jason just looks over and says, I didn't try to kick it that far, but he did. Guards Milburn, 42, and Milburn has the football. And Michael Wright stays home, slows him down enough for Anthony McClanahan to make the hit. Gain of about 4 for Glenn Milburn on that first down play. The junior out of Santa Monica.
Ray Hall takes an inside slant, needs some help from Lewis Bush, who gets caught inside by Vardell on a good block. And boy, those pro scouts are just got to be foaming at the mouth the way Vardell can run with real strength up the middle, has the speed to break things once he does get through the first line and also block like that. Good prospect.
2nd and 6, the back split. Milburn will try the right side. Gets away from McClanahan. Michael Wright makes the tackle this time. It'll be 3rd and 1.
It's good to see Michael back on the playing field. He walked off real slow. There you see the misdirection a little bit with the linemen blocking down and pulling the big guards. Again, the secondary having to make too many tackles here today.
J.J. Lasley checks into the backfield. Milburn goes out. Justin Armour comes in as a wide receiver. He's 6'6", 208 out of Manitou Springs, Colorado. He's the young man who was featured in Sports Illustrated. Mr. Everything, was an All-American in all sports in high school. He's going to play basketball at Stanford, too. Here's Vardell showing that speed outside, breaks a tackle, and he's got armor blocking. He'll cut it back and finally get run out of bounds by Singor Mobley at the 30. 3.5 a yard, and he takes it from the 30 to the 30.
Well, again, like we're talking about, he's got the speed if he needs to get it outside, and he sees that it's all plugged up inside. He probably could have picked up the first down. He uses a stiff arm and knocks the cornerback down, and then is able to just rumble down the sidelines. It's nothing real beautiful, but sure is effective.
Vardell goes over the century mark in rushing for this contest with that scamper. First down, Milburn will get the call, and he will break a tackle in the backfield. Almost breaks the tackle from John Rushing, but the freshman Adam Merced was able to stop Milburn for the loss of a yard.
Denny Green brings in actually 3 tackles as you see the football being juggled a little bit by Milburn. That slows up, really throws off the timing, and Rushing is able to come up and make the tackle again. See how many times in a row maybe the secondary players make tackles here for Washington State. It's just not the thing that you want as a defensive coordinator, have these little guys making all the tackles.
2nd and 11. You see Stenstrom with his hands in the warmer behind his back. Vardell, huge hole, and he is brought down inside the 15-yard line. The offensive line doing the job on the left side, creating a monstrous hole for Vardell to go through.
Well, Washington State is stunning, and you can see Lewis Bush looks down to avoid the block of Milburn, which wasn't a great block, but it was just enough to get Lewis's head to come down, and by the time he popped it back up, there's number 44 breezing in the secondary again. And, he's just a big load to take down. Singor Mobley did the best he could, but not till he picked up a big gain.
Stanford averaging 5.5 yards per carry on the ground. Milburn will get about 4 this time, down to about the 10-yard line. Talking to some of the Stanford players this week, they were bemoaning the fact that they played Washington the first game of the year. The way Stanford is playing right now with the confidence and the defense playing so well, they would love to have another shot at the Huskies. It won't happen, but they've been dreaming about it a bit.
Well, they had their shot at them, and I have to admit, as good as the Stanford team looks today, the Washington Huskies are maybe still one step ahead of where they're at this time. They really controlled that opening game, and it was at home. Stanford couldn't ask for anything more than that.
J.J. Lasley, who fumbled it the last time he had it, won't get anything this time. And he might end up getting 5 yards out of a face mask as a flag was thrown in near the 10.
Well, that's the only thing I can think of. He's got plenty of face masks to grab. You can see that big hurricane thing in front of him there. Looks like a lineman's face mask. It looked like Michael Wright had him, was trying to rip the ball loose, and may have got a little bit of vinyl instead.
Face mask foul against the defense, 5 yards, enforced from the previous spot. Hey, is it going to give us a first down?
Well, there's the question everybody wants to know.
Second down.
Thank you. We got that taken care of.
Yeah.
This has not been a fun game to be one of the officials. The Cougar sidelines and the Stanford sidelines have been all over Bill Richardson and his crew.
Washington State's defense has had one chance to get a turnover deep while they're defending when Lasley carried the ball. They're still fighting, but boy, they've got a big wall to get through.
Mr. Vardell pulls his way down to the 1-yard line. First down and goal for Stanford from there.
Nothing unexpected. Again, Vardell, you can see him lowering those shoulders and getting plenty of forward momentum. McClanahan's there to greet him, but he's a yard deep when he talks to him up close and personal there. And Vardell, every time after he's carried the ball, he goes back to the huddle like he's hurting it on his last leg, and then he thunders through for another 15, 20 yards.
That's the way fullbacks are supposed to do it, aren't they?
Well, he's certainly one of those.
Vardell over the top for the touchdown, Stanford. For Tommy Vardell, his 34th career rushing touchdown. And that moves him past Brad Buster into second place on the Stanford charts behind Darren Nelson. And with his second touchdown today, Vardell has set a new single-season scoring record for Stanford.
Another impressive drive by this Cardinal offensive line. You got to give those guys up front a lot of credit. They've been doing an outstanding job, and that's what you kind of expected, is these big guys to pound through Washington State's defense, and they've certainly had the opportunities and took advantage of them today.
Extra point by Mills is good. It is Stanford 42, Washington State 7. 8:38 left to play in the third quarter. You're watching Cougar football on Prime Sports Northwest. Excitement after the extra point by Mills as the ball was kicked up into the stands again. And it was almost like a rugby play going up the stands, and they managed to get the football all the way out of the stadium. And some guy's running away back to his dorm with it now. And they've beefed up security in the end zone to take care of that.
That's right. They'll have no more of this $25 footballs out of here by any means.
Mills boots it away. And we will finally have a return as Pryor gets it at the 5. And again, he had problems catching the football, and he's hammered at the 17-yard line. And a little flag thrown in. There was a late hit. John Lynch, number 17 for Stanford, came in and made a little late hit. The flag came in much later, as though maybe there was something being said.
Well, all the Stanford players are indicating it's against Washington State.
Against the receiving team, half the distance to the goal line, 1st and 10.
Thank you very little. There's a scoring drive, a very impressive drive again to really dash any hopes of Washington State making a comeback. They poured it on. Vardell doing most of the work in that drive, his long run of the day for about 33 yards and then 2 yards to cap it off.
Last time Cougars were in this situation, they went to no backs. Bledsoe was sacked, fumbled it in the end zone. Stanford recovered for a go-ahead touchdown. Now the Cougars shift into the back with, I believe that was Derek Sparks in the backfield, as he did not practice much all week with the ankle injury suffered against Arizona, and he didn't get much on his first carry today. Maybe about a yard for the freshman out of Santa Ana.
Well, Derek had a nice start last week against Arizona. Before he got hurt, he was very impressive, had one long touchdown called back. But just walking around out there, you can tell he's still a little tender on that ankle.
Sparks shifts back into the backfield again. Washington State 2nd down and 9. Bledsoe to Bobo, he makes the catch, but Ron Riddell right there to ride him down at the 17. It'll be about 2 yards shy of the first down mark. 5th catch of the day for Philip Bobo.
Well, there you see the stunning, the blitzing coming on there, and Drew's able to deliver the ball.
3rd and a long yard for Washington State. As that ball spotted out near the 18 now, and nobody in the backfield, so the Cougars will throw forward, or Bledsoe will try to run, as now Sparks shifts into the backfield. And Bledsoe will sack himself. He tripped, I believe, over Dunning or Pemiskern perhaps, or Tobek's feet as he went back.
Well, we'll be able to see it right here. A lot of times what will happen is, there you see Tobek's left foot goes back and actually steps on Drew's foot, and that's just been the kind of day it's been.
Hansen to punt it out of his own end zone. Line of scrimmage is the 12. Milburn and Granardo are deep. Low snap, but Hansen gets it, gets the kick away, and it's a driving kick. Milburn at the Stanford 48. Shows you why he is so dangerous. He was hemmed in a number of times, and he still manages to get about 6 yards on that return.
Well, here you'll see a little flash of brilliance from Milburn. He's going to go down, give the dead leg, come back up the middle, then sees one little seam and almost pops through. He actually slipped. He really wasn't tackled down. Otherwise, he might still be moving along.
Stanford starts on the Cougar 45. Stenstrom at quarterback, has Vardell in the backfield. 42-7 Stanford. Stenstrom to throw on first down. Walsh makes the catch. Torrey Hunter the tackle after a gain of 4. Sideline right now, so they want to stay playing. Milburn wrapped up in the backfield. About 4 or 5 Cougars there, including Kurt Lurcher, Anthony McClanahan, and Lewis Bush, the entire linebacking core there to make the stop.
McClanahan comes in and puts a pretty good hit on. You could hear it all the way up here, a good crisp pop. I guess the one thing that you've got to like if you're a Washington State Cougar is the never say die attitude of McClanahan.
Fans booing about the security guards getting after somebody in the stands. There's been a lot of excitement in the stands in this second half. Stenstrom over the middle, Walsh the catch, first down, tackled by Greg Burns. We got a flag on the play.
I gotta believe that's another student flag. It came from way up in about the 5th row.
You're right. And
well,
from that sideline.
Again, Stanford not willing to just run the clock out here. They're trying to get another score in here. Stenstrom maybe trying to pad that efficiency lead that he's got in the Pac-10.
Cardinal trying to send a message to the California Golden Bears.
Well, I don't know if the Cardinal Bears are getting the message, but I can assure you Mike Price and the Cougar defense are getting it.
First down for Stanford. Milburn trying to cut it outside. Cuts it back, and Singor Mobley makes the stop. Gain of about 4 on that play. But again, the value of Milburn, because there was nothing to the left side where that play was designed to go, and his ability to cut it back through the middle.
You know, we talked a little bit about Milburn and not living up to the hype, I guess, of the Heisman that was originally generated down in the Bay Area with White down there for Cal and Milburn being such an outstanding all-around player. I think part of the reason he hasn't received as much attention is because you've got players like Vardell who have also excelled and share a little bit of the limelight.
And the slow start by Stanford, too, probably having something to do with that as Vardell goes up the middle and picks up about 3 yards. For Stanford, they pitch it to Vardell, and he goes outside, gets the first down. Singor Mobley runs him out at the 15. And they will credit Vardell with the progress at the 13. That shows you how strong Vardell is. Watch Mobley hit him on the other side of the 15, and Vardell will finally slide out of bounds at the 13.
Singor Mobley getting a little action, and that young secondary has been really not tested too much in as far as the passing game is, but they've had to come up and make a lot of tackles here this afternoon, Rushing and Mobley, the 2 young kids at the safety position.
Milburn outside, and he's upended, but still picks up about 4 yards on that play. So Washington State will see their second consecutive losing season, as they were clinging to hopes of winning this one and being 5-5 heading into the Apple Cup, but that will not come to be. And for Mike Price, it will be his first ever back-to-back losing seasons as a head coach.
Vardell finally comes in off to the sidelines, and Stenstrom's going to call a timeout. I'm not sure what for. I think he's worried that this may be a critical part of the game, but he'll do it and head over the sideline.
Chris Walsh having quite a game with Stenstrom throwing to him. Walsh 9 catches for 115 yards. He was 10th in the nation coming in, and he's certainly added to that. Want to remind you that for Seattle Supersonic basketball coverage, turn to Prime Sports Northwest. Wednesday, the Sonics take on the Detroit Pistons. That one's live at 4:30, only on Prime Sports Northwest. Might be some back and forth pushing and shoving in that game. Never know what happens when you play the Pistons.
You know what's going to happen. You're going to get thumped in the back by Lambeer.
I was trying to be diplomatic about it.
Oh, heck with that.
You know it's getting crazy with the Pistons when they get John Stockton to go after Dennis Rodman. Stockton, one of the more mild-mannered players in the NBA, and when he's chasing after Dennis Rodman, you know something's been going on. Dennis Green is enjoyed this afternoon. He's done a nice job getting this Stanford program turned around.
Well, I think his move of Stenstrom actually, you know, when things were going tough, Stenstrom comes in and plays against teams like Cornell, Oregon State, and some of the lesser foes that he's had to practice or play against, but he's certainly been successful, and you can't argue against his starting string.
Kind of interesting that each team has run 53 plays from scrimmage, with Stanford leading 42-7. Stenstrom trying to add to that, and he does. John Pinckney with the touchdown catch for Stanford. Michael Wright had pretty good coverage on that. Pinckney just made a nice catch of a very well thrown ball.
It's hard to defense the perfect offensive play, and this is one of them. Stenstrom's just going to sit back in the pocket, has no pressure, and puts the ball high and away. Pinckney goes the defender in the ball and makes the catch for the touchdown.
Mills set for the extra point. He puts it through, and it is 49-7. Stanford leading Washington State, and the soap opera continues as we've got the security guards and the guys fighting. There's a great view of what's going on. As long as nobody gets hurt, what the heck?
We asked Dennis Erickson about that football game, that homecoming loss today. He'd probably look at you and go, what are you talking about? I'm on top of the world now. Miami with a big win over FSU.
That's not Fresno State either.
No, it's not.
Mills to boot it away. There have been comparisons to that 87 team, Dennis Erickson's first year, and this football team of Mike Price in 1991, a team that has shown some flashes. Both had sophomore quarterbacks, Bledsoe this year, Rosenbaugh that year, and then the Cougars went on to win 9 the following year and go to the Aloha Bowl, as you see the scoring drive for Stanford.
The thing that you look at with this team is you see a lot of positive things. You see a lot of young players on defense that will all be back, including guys like Lewis Bush and McClanahan, rushing, who's had a redshirt freshman year that's been outstanding. And you think, well, there's really a chance for these guys to put together some wins next year in the Pac-10 and even start to think about going bowling. I think that's a frame of mind that you got to get in.
Bledsoe throwing up the sideline long, just out of the fingertips of Philip Bobo. Bobo made a great catch on that route last week against Arizona, and the two Bs try to duplicate that.
Well, there's Drew just putting it up and just doesn't quite get enough underneath that ball, and Philip does a good job bringing his man Riddell inside and then fading just a bit outside, but in fading he couldn't quite get to the ball. WSU still in there throwing away, no backs, and now Paul Carr moves into that one-back set.
2:33 to play in the third quarter. Carr gets it on the ground, and after a good initial hole is hit, brought down, gain of about 3 on the play. Tom Williams makes the stop. Senior for Stanford out of Fort Worth, Texas.
Mike Price all week had to come up with some type of offensive scheme that allowed him to use his running back sparingly because of the injuries, and he's come up with a concept that initially looked great, but down close to the goal line, the sack, that was a no-back kind of deal, and it's a high-risk type of thing. In all the games this year where Washington State has lost, they just have been ineffective on the ground. I think that we can call that the case today.
Garnett misses Bledsoe, but gets a second chance and nails him for the sack. Garnett, who was an academic all Pac-10 performer last year, his dad used to play for the Oakland Raiders, and he gets 2 tries at the sack and collects on number 2.
Boy, he almost got the ball there too again from Drew, but Drew's able just to hold on and at least get down before the ball comes out.
At what stage does Mike Price go to Mike Pattinson?
Well, I think it was that last series, to tell you the truth. I mean, there's no reason to have Bledsoe out there getting ripped apart.
The wind holds Hansen's kick up, and Milburn calls for the fair catch at the 45. Exact same spot. Stanford started their last drive, and they'll do it again.
Their tight ends in the ball game.
Vardell gets a couple on that first down play. Columbus, a senior out of Lake Oswego, Oregon, went to Lake Ridge High School there. Off and on has been the starter. People have talked about him being one of the next great Stanford quarterbacks, and then he went through a series where he struggled and he was benched and then came back, and really the coming out party was against Washington State last year. He was the starter to begin the season this year, and then Stanford got off to the slow start. They went with Steve Stenstrom, and this will be win number 6 in a row with Stenstrom as the starting quarterback. J.J. Lasley breaks tackles and gets the first down.
I got to believe if I'm Jason Columbus, I would love to start this year over again and go to Stenstrom and say, Steve, you can start these first couple of ball games against teams like the Huskies, Notre Dame, and Colorado, and I'll take Oregon State and some of these other teams that you've got to face, like mighty Cornell.
Singor Mobley banged up for Washington State. Mark Smaha and the other members of the Cougar training staff over to take a look. J.J. Lasley with the carry, and that's a gain of about 7 yards. That will be the final play of quarter number 3, with Stanford leading Washington State 49-7. Off in a little better frame of mind for Washington State.
Well, I think what we'll see now is Pattison coming in. He's been warming up on the sideline, and I would not be surprised at all to see him come in.
Lasley hammered as Anthony McClanahan came through to make the big hit. Stanford had 119 yards of total offense. The Cougars only 40 in the third quarter. It's 3rd and 5 right now for Stanford as they try to maintain possession of the football. Long count as Columbus is going to use up as much of that time clock as he can. Lasley makes the catch, breaks a tackle, and is run out of bounds. First down, Stanford. Had the tackle been made, Stanford would have been forced to give up the football, but it's another first down for Stanford.
Well, Denny Green electing to continue to throw the ball, even though he's way out on top here. He's going to get this second team some work. And I guess you can't blame him. You don't want him to just lay down and give the ball up, but they're electing to go through the air to get it.
Mike Buckley is in the backfield, and he will get the play fake. There's a flag thrown, and this one did come from an official. So we will have a real penalty, and Michael Wright making the tackle, rolled around like he was hurt again, and he's still hanging onto his hat a little bit. Penalty apparently against Stanford. The officials can't like Dennis Green. He stands all the way down at the opposite end of the field from where the action's going. So the officials, when they run over to tell him who the penalty was on
the offense,
they have to sprint about 50
down,
yards.
1st and 15.
There's Dennis Green. He's all the way back on the 40 and walking actually away from the line of scrimmage. Stanford defense, they're happy. They've really been at the focal point of this turnaround for Stanford over the last 6 games. J.J. Lasley out of Crespi High School down in Southern California gets down to the 25-yard line.
One of the things that Dennis Green did when he came to the Stanford program is told the press and the alumni of Stanford that he was going to focus on the defense. As you see Lasley running with the ball, pretty hard hit in there by, I think it was Anthony Pryor. But, and that's the kind of thing that he's done is turn this into a pretty good defensive football team, being second in the Pac-10, and I'm sure that that will stay where it is, at least on the scoring side of it, which is the most important.
Cougars show blitz. Let's see if they come on 2nd and 9. They do. And Ozzie Granardo gets down to about the 23-yard line. Granardo is a true freshman, 5'9", 165-pounder out of Colorado Springs. He's had limited action in the backfield. That's just his 9th carry this year, but he's been a very dangerous return man. Third down and 7 for Stanford on the 23 of Washington State. Lasley in the backfield along with Granardo on this third down play. Columbus to throw if he can. Nope, Lewis Bush with the sack.
Well, Lewis Bush comes on the blitz. Cougars selling out here, and he goes right through Lasley to get to Columbus. And unfortunately, that's not the kind of thing that happened earlier in the first half where Washington State really needed it. But good effort by Lewis Bush there. And one thing, again, you got to like is he's putting out the effort. He's not going to lay down, hang his head, and go off the sidelines and ask him to play somebody else. Lewis wants to get those smacks in.
Paul Stonehouse punted after the first Stanford series. This is only his second appearance now. And he kicks a knuckler that will go into the end zone. Very close to going out of bounds at the 1, but they mark it in the end zone. Cougars will start on the 20, and let's see if it is indeed Mike Pattinson who gets the call at quarterback. He's got the helmet on, and he's talking to Mike Price. So the sophomore out of Moscow will come back with the offense for Washington State. Playing the football game. Here's his first pass of the day. Maybe not. He's going to run it instead. And he'll hightail it out of bounds, pick up about 3.5, 4 yards.
Little mercy being shown by Garnett there, the captain for Stanford. I mean, he had a clear shot to drill Pattinson and kind of eased up as he saw Pattinson was definitely going to go out of bounds. You'll see him right there saying, okay, but don't turn that ball up.
Pretty good rushing average for Mike Pattinson as the quarterback of the Cougars. Paul Carr shifts into the backfield. 2nd and 6 from the 24. Carr will get the football and cuts it back and gets a first down. Ron George with the tackle from behind along with Von Bryant, the cornerback out of Detroit for Stanford.
Pretty good movement here. Paul Carr having a little trouble with the ball, but once he does get it wrapped up, he's able to scoot up the middle. Young man in his last home appearance.
Cougars still working against Stanford's #1 defensive unit, too. Danny Green not doing a whole lot of substituting on the defensive side of the football. Pattinson, the short drop, finds Albert Kennedy. And Kennedy gets very close to a first down. First catch of the day for Kennedy, his second as a Washington State Cougar. Young man that the Cougars are very excited about out of Yerba Buena High School in San Jose, California. About a half yard shy of the first down. We'll call it 2nd and 1. Pattinson to throw on that short down. Well, Dave Garnett says he won't. Garnett hopped over Josh Dunning and got to Pattinson to make the sack. That's the 6th sack today for Stanford. And believe it or not, they were last in the Pac-10 with only 10 sacks as a team coming in. They have a lot of tackles for loss on running plays, but not that many sacks, but they've beefed that number up today.
Substantially, much to the chagrin of Mike Price and his guys, but I think you can expect that with no backs in the backfield and really telegraphing that you're going to throw the ball all day. Time to get healthy on that quarterback sack column.
Cougars have seen their quarterback sacked over 50 times this year. Darren Pointer makes a tough catch and is brought down. There's a flag thrown in, and that might be a face mask. 7 in favor of Stanford. Butch Williams comes in motion. Pass gun to Calvin Schexnayder, who caught it and dropped it. Pattinson got that ball there in a hurry.
Pattinson showing his ability to get that ball out of there in a hurry. I think it was George again in his face. Calvin having a little trouble with that ball and just won't stick in the mitts that time.
2nd and 10 from the 48. Calvin Schexnayder had a couple of catches earlier, couldn't hang on to that one. Williams again going in motion, and Stanford not moving with him at all. And he makes the catch and is pushed out of bounds by Darian Gordon. It'll be spotted at the 42. Gain of 6 on that play, but it's 3rd and 4 now.
I have to give the WSU offensive staff really a pretty creative type of offense that they put together when they learned that they would not have a running back in the system. It's something that I think made, you don't want to have it as your mainstay of your offense like they have today with the motion of the tight end coming in to block and do some other things, but it certainly has been effective from time to time. It can be an offensive piece of your total playbook.
Pattinson missed Philip Bobo. It's 4th down and 4. And Cougars apparently will go for it. Is this the type of offense that Washington State will need to use against Washington next week? As you see Jason Columbus leaving. And we will see the 3rd-string quarterback for Stanford, Steve Smith, come in on their next offensive series. But is this the type of offense the Cougars will have to use at least a little bit against Stanford to be, or against the Huskies next week to be successful?
I think it's part of the total package that they're going to have be successful. As we have a late hit there on, I believe it was Phillip out of bounds, and it was. But I think it's something that you can use to cross the Huskies up and make them think a little bit about what happens when Butch goes in motion. Even if there is one backfield, he has the potential to run it or run the reverse. It adds a couple things, but it also gives quick receivers. You can see right there, Phillip is running a quick slant and something else that you can get the ball off with quick, and that's the type of thing that you're going to have to do against the Washington defenses. Move the ball quickly through the air as your main game plan, I would believe, against that tough Husky run defense anyway.
The late hit moves the ball down to the 15, so the Cougars knocking on the door here with 8:59 left to play in the football game. Washington State trying to answer after scoring the first 7 of the game, and they've been shut out since. Paul Carr doesn't get much of anything. Dave Garnett makes the stop, and you saw the frustration of the Cougars there. Bob Garman, after that play, took off, just kind of threw his hands up in the air. Pattinson into the end zone for Bobo. He's open. Touchdown, Washington State.
Well, the Cougar faithful have stuck around for that. Gets to see a pretty good throw and catch. Pattinson shows that he can lay that ball right on the money, similar to Stenstrom's throw to Pinckney earlier. Phillip runs the post corner and puts a good move on, I believe it was Von Bryant down there. Picks up 6 for Washington State, so the few people remaining here have something to cheer about. Keep warm.
Jason Hansen tags on the extra point, but he ended up on his rear end after kicking that one. He is having problems. Mike Pattinson's first career touchdown pass for the senior out of Meade High School in Spokane. Of course, he'll have another matchup with his younger brother Travis in Husky Stadium on Saturday. Last year, quite a thrill for the Hansen brothers as that game was tied 3-3 here in Martin Stadium. Each of the Hansens kicking a field goal. Milburn will let it go, and Stanford will come out on their own 20. And Steve Smith will be the quarterback for Stanford. Cougars go 80 yards in 11 plays, used up 323. Mike Pattinson engineering the touchdown drive. Smith is a guy who's been through the wars a little bit at Stanford. He has seen some playing time. 6'4", 215-pound sophomore out of Folsom, California. So far this year, 2 for 2 for 25 yards. He's not thrown a touchdown or an interception. Chris Frank dancing, not going offside. J.J. Lasley wrapped up by Anthony McClanahan, but a gain of about 7 yards on the play.
Mike Price getting a couple of younger guys in there. You see Ron Childs playing on the defensive side. Other than that, it's pretty much the first unit out there, and boy, they're going to be stiff and sore after fighting off that offensive line. The big bruisers up front really did what they were supposed to do today for Stanford, not allowing much pressure to to get to Stenstrom, and also really doing a good job opening holes for Vardell. You don't need too big a hole to get him through there.
Lasley tries the left side and gets the first down out to about the 32-yard line. It's kind of fun on the Stanford sideline to see all the players gathered around the heaters. Stanford obviously not used to playing in the cold weather, and some of the teams like Arizona, there you go, Big Bob Whitfield and Steve Hoyam, some of the first-string offensive linemen who are not in there right now, they're gathered around. They don't have the big overcoats, though, that a lot of the teams have when they bring them up.
They don't figure that into the athletic manager's budget every year. No, we don't need the big overcoats. We'll suffer through one game a year up north.
They figure they'll try to schedule Seattle or Pullman earlier in the year, but it didn't work that way this time. Lee Tillman with a big hit. Playing his final home game, the senior out of Havre, Montana, gets a big hug from Anthony McClanahan. You have to admire the Cougar defense right now. 49-14. They've been out there a long time, and they're still battling away as the big hit on Ozzie Granardo.
Ozzie's given away about 100 pounds right there. Didn't have much of a battle there. Tillman probably been used to hitting Vardell all day. It's like hitting the heavy bag, and then you got the speed bag.
2nd and 11 from the 31. Glenn Kavanaugh, the center out of Spokane, still in the lineup for Stanford. Lasley wrapped up, and no gain there. And it'll be 3rd and long for Stanford. Smith will throw it. Justin Armour didn't realize it. Justin Armour thought it was a run, too. So Paul Stonehouse will come back out to punt it. He had to leave his spot by the heater. Tommy Vardell on the sidelines. I think all they're doing there is just cutting the tape off.
Getting a manicure. That was his agent.
Can't have one of those yet. Stonehouse ready to kick it away. Cougars come after it but can't get him. And it's a bad kick that will roll out of bounds. Maybe not quite. He stopped at the 47. Pattinson will bring the Cougar offense back out. They'll try to see if they can punch up another one to get into the 20s. Make that final score look a little bit more respectable. 5:35 left to play in the football game. Darren Pointer, Albert Kennedy. Philip Bobo, the wide receivers. Still nobody in the backfield. Pattinson guns it. Albert Kennedy dropped it. It was a little behind him, but it was a catchable pass. Coy Gibbs in on the coverage. Gibbs, as I mentioned earlier, the son of Joe Gibbs, the unbeaten Washington Redskin coach. Merlin Olsen's son is on the Stanford roster.
It's been fun to watch Mark Rippon, speaking of those Washington Redskins. He's having a Pro Bowl year.
Fantastic game last week. NFC Player of the Week offensively. Threw for 6 and ran for 1 more. Paul Carr. Not going to be much there at all. It'll be 3rd and 9 for Washington State. Clock moving with just a little over 5 minutes left. A reminder that we will have the final Washington State football broadcast of the year next week as the Cougars take on the Huskies. You will see that game next Sunday at 8 o'clock right here on Prime Sports Northwest. The Cougars heading to Seattle to take on the Huskies. Well, see what Mike Pattinson can do on a 3rd and long situation here. Still got Butch Williams in there, and he's the man in motion. We saw Drew Bledsoe do that earlier, and Mike Pattinson does it now.
Too many feet getting mixed
Jason
up.
Hansen came charging out. He wanted to try to kick a field goal. This would be the spot where he could go for a record. This would be a real long one, though. It would be 72, but he's got the wind behind him, but he hasn't been able to plant too well. Mike Pattinson will try to get the first down. Hansen came charging up, though. I think he saw it.
Well, if there's a day to do it, I don't know about the degree of temperature, but boy, you sure got the right wind gusting behind you.
Pattinson has time, looking for Agustin Alobia. They threw it behind him. Stanford takes over on downs with 3:58 left to play in the football game. So Agustin Alobia finally got his touchdown catch earlier in the year against Oregon State, his only catch of the year.
Got a little piece of that American football.
Huskies have tuned up for the Apple Cup with a 58-6 win over Oregon State. With Miami coming from behind and defeating Florida State 17-16, the Huskies most likely will be number 2 to Dennis Erickson's Miami Hurricanes. And I would imagine the vote will be fairly close because the Hurricanes and the Huskies had been tied 2 weeks ago. There was only 1 point separating them in the polls this past week. Obviously, Miami will gain a little support with the victory over Florida State, the number 1 team in the nation. As Mike Buckley is written down. For the Huskies, though, they would have preferred a victory by Florida State.
Absolutely. It really doesn't pave the way, I guess, as well as a chance for that undefeated season having an impact. I'm a little ahead of myself. I'm assuming incorrectly that the Huskies will go undefeated, but everybody over there in Seattle is talking about that undefeated season. And with Miami winning a little softer schedule, maybe going into the bowl, playing the bowl game almost at home.
Yeah, they'll play in the Orange Bowl, where they have not lost in a long time, and they will play the champion for the Big 8. And it will take an upset by that Big 8 champion over Miami, you would assume, for Washington to have a chance to win the national championship. Dennis Erickson, the former Cougar coach, with an excellent opportunity. He's in place, can control his own destiny to pick up his 2nd national championship in 3 years at Miami. That's pretty impressive.
Not a bad record. He's got some great athletes down there, but you got to hand it to him. He's given them the systems, done a good job with the new quarterback this year, and their defense has just been outstanding as it was today.
3rd and 6 for Stanford and quarterback Steve Smith. That's Mark Hatzenbuehler, and he tries to get the first down, but nothing to it. Hatzenbuehler, I think, was prepared for the cold, and he thought ahead. I think he brought about 4 sweatshirts. Take a look at how bulky his upper body looks when he gets up off the line of scrimmage.
He really weighs about 185. He's got a few shirts on, a thermal or 2, and all the arm and elbow pads you can get on there.
I was going to say maybe a tank top underneath.
Yeah.
I think what Stanford's going to do here is just let the clock run all the way out, the play clock that is, and then take the delay of game penalty and kick it away. They haven't even thought about going into the huddle yet. And Dennis Green gets a boo for that.
Yeah, 1 boo.
Tommy Vardell and Dennis Green shaking hands. Who's next, says the sweatshirt on the sideline. Well, California, and that'll be an outstanding big game. That'd be a fun one. There have been some great games between Cal and Stanford.
What would be real exciting to see was that Stanford Stadium packed. I mean, it's been a long time, I think, that's been at capacity. It probably holds about 75, 80,000 people, and last couple of years there's been plenty of room there, but for that one, got to believe those old wood bleachers are going to be full.
It's always full for the big game, that Memorial Stadium in Berkeley, but otherwise it hasn't been a whole lot. Another poor kick by Stonehouse, but this one will end up being pretty effective as it will roll inside the 10 and take that Martin Stadium roll inside the 5-yard line. 1:25 left to play in the football game. It's been all Stanford. You're watching Cougar football on Prime Sports Northwest. Inside the 3, it took another 5 seconds off the clock, so Pattinson will see if he can get the Cougars out of a bit of a hole here and get something going. Paul Carr shifts into the backfield. And Carr won't get much of anything. His second effort will push him out near the 5-yard line. Tyler Batson in on the hit, along with Coy Gibbs. And Denny Hansen out of Gonzaga Prep in Spokane, wearing number 99. He was in on the stop as well. 2nd down and 7 for Washington State. The clock moving inside a minute. The Cougars will run to the locker room and try to regroup and get their sights set on the Washington Huskies. Carr fumbled that one, but I think it bounced right back to him. A huge second quarter by Stanford. Washington State led 7-0 after the first 15 minutes. Stanford with 35 points. In the second quarter, they added 14 in the third, and the Cougars have added that last touchdown here in the fourth quarter to make it 49-14. Pattinson guns it as his receiver Darren Pointer, who's open and is brought down near the midfield stripe. There are about 8 seconds left, and Mike Price is calling for a timeout.
What they need is a delay a game, go back 5, and go for the 65-yarder.
Well, that's what people are thinking, because the line of scrimmage is the 50. This would be a 67-yard field goal attempt if Hansen were to try it. And Price is looking in Jason's direction, and he's coming down. I think Hansen is going to try it.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? You got the perfect wind. You can't. I can't believe that Jason is real loose.
Well, he has been doing a lot of kicking, and listen to the crowd as Hansen comes out.
Now's the time you need the guy with the blow dryer. This is perfect.
This would tie the NCAA record if it is indeed spotted where it should be, which would be on the 43, which is where it would be. This would tie the NCAA record held by 3 Southwest Conference kickers, including Russell Erslaven. Out of the hole of Boone Borden, Paul Reed, the snapper. Nope, low line driver. He didn't get enough of it, and there's 2 seconds left, so Stanford will have to run a play. And what that will do, unfortunately, is actually take a record away from Jason Hansen. He had the record for field goal percentage over 50 yards coming into this game. But by missing that one, he actually sees his percentage dip below the .606 that Max Zendejas had for career field goals over 50%. I believe that drops Hansen down to .604, so he'll have to hit one against the Huskies if he wants to have the record.
Well, you got to give Mike Price and his staff the applause for at least letting him take a shot at it. And that's the end of this game.
Stanford has won 6 in a row, and they are indeed headed to a bowl, most likely the Aloha Bowl in Hawaii, as Stanford registers a 49-14 win over Mike Price and the Washington State Cougars. And it'll be a long week of preparation for the Cougars as they get set for the Apple Cup, and it'll be a fun week of preparation for Dennis Green and the Stanford Cardinal as they get ready for the big game against the California Golden Bears. We'll be back with a final comment. Stanford over Washington State. You're watching Cougar football on Prime Sports Northwest.